Well, let's see here. The New England Patriots are not a perfect football team at
No.
this point. I hear a lot of people complaining about the defense. I think if I think if you told people before the season what this defense was going to play like, they'd be pretty happy with it. I mean, they've played a pretty tough schedule and they haven't been giving up a lot of points. So it's got to come down to Brady and Moss right now to me because that's what makes this offense special. I mean, if you look back to those championship teams, they never had a special offense. They had a good offense, not great. Um, and that's about where they are now, except that Brady isn't as sharp as he has been. He's not as sharp as he was in those years. So it's interesting. I mean,
Well, first I'll say the defense, they've gotten lucky in some on some plays too, but I think that
yeah,
they've shown enough early going here that we can have confidence the rest of the way going that the defense is only going to get better now that Mayo's back, and if he can get even more back into the mix, they're bringing Seau in,
yep.
and so
And it looks like they're going to just. It looks like the 4-3 is kind of going by the books a bit.
mhm. I think it's going to definitely solidify as the weeks go on. Obviously, this week and next week they've got some, we'll say, easier games than what they've had the last few
Sure.
weeks, and then they've got the bye. So even though the trip to London's going to kind of mess with the bye a little bit, they will have plenty of time to kind of work out what's going wrong. But
But
offensively, like you're saying, it's so many things that aren't working all at the same time.
yes and no. I think that Moss is off as much as Brady is off, and I don't know whether Moss is. I assume that he's injured because he was on that injury list, and then they basically said it was kind of a miraculous thing that he played in that game.
Hmm.
So obviously he's not right. I mean, they're not throwing deep to him. Um, they just seem to have just an okay offense. I mean, they're using him as they would have used, Dion Branch or any of those guys.
But
And without Moss as the deep threat, this team's not special offensively.
looking at the way that it's working in the passing game right now, if Moss isn't 100% or close enough to it,
Yeah,
that makes it harder. That makes him at least it appears like he's not trying to get that separation. It doesn't seem like they're giving him 100% double team all the time, but he is seeing some double
a
coverage.
little bit, but I mean, the
Part of
one
that
time he was open, Brady missed him.
part of the problem too though is that Welker obviously doesn't look like he's 100% necessarily,
Right.
and teams are going to play off of him because he's not nearly as dangerous as Moss,
Yeah.
even at that level. And then they have no number three. I mean, if I guess the number three receiver right now would be Ben Watson, and that's more of a
Edelman and Watson. Yeah,
But
they
how
don't.
much? How dangerous are teams thinking that Edelman is at this point? That when you can shut
Right.
down Moss and Welker due in part to their own health and to the fact that there is nobody else to worry about in
Yeah.
the receiving game, then it makes it so much easier to take that aspect away. And they're not built to be a running football team.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at that Denver, when you look at Denver, I came away thinking, I'd rather have that set of receivers than the receivers that the Patriots have,
Hmm.
and that's kind of a startling, shocking kind of admission to make.
No, but I can see where you would think
I
that.
mean, Brandon Marshall is a very, very good receiver. When his head's screwed on right. So yeah, I mean,
Pat Bowlen said today that if he keeps playing the way that he's been playing through the first 5 games of the season, he's due a big pay raise. And how often does an owner come out and say that?
right. Yeah, I mean Denver. I'm kind of sick of talking about them just because I have been for. I spent the better part of 2 weeks trying to tell everyone that Denver is a good
But
team.
now they believe you.
They might. I think they believe me a little bit. I mean, the Patriots should be pretty happy. They went to Denver, a tough place to play against a better team. They took them to overtime. They're not. That's what the Pats are right now. They are in the ballpark against a good team. They're as good as other teams. One break either way is, it's going to be the difference. Now, the thing that was amazing about those Super Bowl teams is that they won those close games every time out. If it was close, they were going to win the game. They had just had something special, and that has to be that veteran sense. So I don't think we're going to see that from this team. They're going to have to, if they want to win the Super Bowl, they're going to have to be better than they are right now because they would be lucky to win a playoff game as they're playing right now.
I can say this: riding in the elevator with some in the Baltimore game with some of the people from the Baltimore organization, they were convinced that they were going to be coming back through Gillette Stadium at some point. Uh, in the playoffs. And
Yeah.
I think that maybe the Patriots might have that same feeling coming out of Denver, that this is a team that we're going to see again possibly.
Right.
And I can't imagine the game going the same way if it happened a second time. Just knowing New England's history, but also knowing, the fact that how much more are we going to see out of Denver when we know that the Patriots have so much more room for improvement.
Right. Yeah.
Although that wild horse,
Denver's they're playing, they're playing as well as they're going to play now.
Mm-hmm.
Patriots do have, they have room to be better. So, I think you really you have to just enjoy the games week to week, and then they kind of don't matter. They're almost certainly going to make the playoffs. I mean, they're probably an 85% shot to make the playoffs, and by the end of the year, it's going to determine.
I think that's exactly what Belichick is thinking.
I do too. I really think that he is. I think he's probably okay as you can be with being 3-2 at this point because
not to interrupt you.
Sure.
Throw last season out because of the Brady injury and bringing Castle, and that kind of changes
Yeah.
what the overall plan might have been. But I've got a good feeling in my gut here that Belichick looked at 2007 and said, all right, hey, that was great. It was great to be able to go undefeated in the regular season.
Yeah.
It was great to be able to blow teams out. And in the end, what did it get us? Nothing.
Well,
So, no, it didn't. Look how the Super Bowl ended up playing out. They lost.
They did, but
what mattered most didn't happen. So
it's true, but that Super Bowl game was any game you play against another tough team can go the better team. The Patriots were the better team.
Mm-hmm.
They were the best team in the NFL that year, whereas they weren't necessarily the best team in 2003 or 2001.
I'm just saying it de-emphasized the need to have another 2007 type season.
I see what you mean. Yeah, well, Belichick is. I mean, he's notorious for that. He could care less. He could care less about previous year's teams. As soon as one season's over, to him, that team has nothing to do with this team.
Everybody goes back to that one year when Michael Gee wrote the column about how it's better to lose, now than it is losing in the playoffs, and it just nobody could ever fathom that Belichick would think that way. But I think that is what he's looking at now, where they know they're not the team they're not the team on the field that they're going to be in a few weeks.
Yeah,
they're going to have more players back, and they're going to have more talent on the field. So just getting better.
Well, where's that? Where's the talent?
Well, I'm just saying
from?
You're going to get Mayo back healthy again.
Yeah, but
you're going to hope that Galloway.
They were healthy in Week 1, and they almost lost to Buffalo, who since looks like the worst team in the NFL. I mean, the Patriots they're not that good right now. I mean, they're
not right now, but there is a lot of room for improvement.
There is. At this point, I think that it's. I mean, certainly a Patriots fan should be altering his preseason or their preseason expectations of
20-0
of we're going to be great. They're going to have to win tight games, and they're going to have to stay a little healthy if they want to really have a shot to win the Super Bowl. I mean, I look at other teams right now, and they're not where those other teams are. The Giants right now are absolutely killing everyone they play. The Saints are great on both sides of the ball. The Colts look miles ahead of the Patriots right now. I mean, the Patriots are not even really in the. I mean, I just did my power rankings. I mean, they're not in the top 10 in my book. Will they be at the end of the year? I think they probably will, but they're not going to be the favorite. So it'll be interesting. But